Hello and welcome to the local real estate town hall meeting sponsored by 85209.com and 85212.com. And here are your panelists, Kenny Klaus and Craig Klaus.
All right, check. Hey, thanks everybody for spending your Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Yes, it is Tuesday evening here with us. Was just kind of a quick update on what we're seeing in the market. Can't believe we're already into February here. But as we move forward into 2021, we want to make sure we keep everybody, up to date with the information that we're actually seeing, from being in the trenches and in the field doing this. Sometimes media and some of the things we see out there maybe are more global or more widespread. We're going to really focus on what's happening here in the East Valley and kind of specifically, 85209 and 85212. With that said, kind of just the topics we want to cover would be the just kind of an overview of the market, some of the new ways with technology and some of the tools we have to buy and sell in today's market, which will be really critical as we continue to head into this year. 2001 versus 2008, kind of the market forecast. What's different between that time and this time? Because we hear a lot of those questions come up. Just home updating. What are the best things that you can do to get the best return for the hopefully the least amount of money? And then forbearance, which that word is being thrown a lot around out there a lot. When COVID started almost a year ago now, or about a year ago. So I want to talk about that a little bit for those who will kind of wrap up with that, who are hearing that or have questions on that. But let's jump right into kind of the market update so that we can really kind of give you a sense of what's going on. I'm sure a lot of you have heard, some of the keywords that are going on out there. But just want to kind of touch on that and kind of set the stage for where we think 2021 is headed and beyond. Craig, are you there?
Sorry, I was muted. We'll talk, a little bit about kind of where we're at today as far as active inventory, which, like any market, supply and demand is driving what we're seeing today. And give you an example, the graph here, just, this is months supply of inventory. And so you see January or so of 2011 was 9.5 months. Right now we're about 2 months, or about 1.9 months. Give you a kind of a relative example. There are currently 4,533 homes on the market in the Valley. In February of 2016, there were 20,000. February of 2019, there were 18,000. So, just 2 short years ago, we were 4 times the amount of active inventory we have now. And just to give an example, February of 2008, we had 56,000 homes on the market. So that's a big part of it. And then locally, we have currently 58 homes for sale in 85209 and 85212. 36, if you take out Sunland Springs, Sunland Village, some of the active adult, there's 36 homes for sale. Only 8 of those are in 85209 currently. So kind of where we're at locally and overall, in the differences in today and what we're seeing and why the market is, in a big part of why the market is doing what it's doing.
Yeah, and I think, this time around, when we look back, we're seeing appreciation, whereas, when we got into late 07, 08, and really through 2012 and beyond, we weren't seeing appreciation. So the big difference this time around is, owners are sitting on a lot more equity than they were, back then. And because of the rise in values, we're continuing to see that increase for people. There is, definitely more protections out there in the industry to not allow people to take out as much equity as they did in the past. And so that's keeping us a little bit more stable, where even if there was any kind of a change, people can actually still sell their house without the fear of, foreclosure and that type of thing. So I think we'll continue to see equity increase throughout this year. And home values continue to rise, which, has its good and bads too, depending on which side of the coin you're on, of course. So.
Yeah, I think I was going to final on that. Scott, we had the slide just going back to the showing, and the supply demand was just to show that home showings are up 47% and inventory is down 43%. So the combination of that, lower mortgage rates, demand, length of stay in home, things that factored into all of that inequity, as Kenny said.
Yeah, I think the downside, I would say, to the the rise in values, at some point here is just that entry level and first time buyers, are having more of a challenge to get into the market right now. And with that said, that isn't so much. I think affordability could become part of that later in the conversation, but right now, I think it's just if you don't have equity, you don't have a big down payment, you have a contingency, you have anything that isn't almost perfect, sellers are not, typically entertaining those offers. Now, with that said, we just had one recently because of some of the work we do on the back end to set the stage that we did get an FHA offer accepted and actually, over a cash offer because of the emotions that the seller had about, who was buying the property. So, we kind of have a plan around that to help our clients become more successful in this market. But I think long-term, if prices continue to rise, as long as rates stay low, it's still more affordable or as affordable as rent, because we've seen a significant increase in rent over the last couple of years. And I think we're going to continue to see that, as our neighbor, California, like them or not, we get a lot of them out here, and we're seeing a real influx this year again of, them moving to our market. So we still have more people moving here than moving away.
Yeah, and the equity piece, Kenny, is a big part. Like, people didn't cash out the refi like you talked about. An example, 2007 was $240 billion cashed out in refinance. In 2019, that was $89 billion. So, I mean, just a big difference. People learned, I think, a little bit and were more cautious this time.
Yeah, and in our local market here with some of the new construction, when you talk about Eastmark and Cadence and some of the things going on, we're even seeing there a shortage of inventory. For a while there, we could, if people were getting beat on resale, we could run at least get a new home for them. We're seeing a lot of the communities, not all, but a lot of the communities now, where even if you go into the model and you like a house, they let you know when the next drawing is for a property. I was just in one last weekend with a Taylor Morrison home for a client. This was our second one. The way they're doing it is the second one, we got an extra ticket because we didn't get any on the first one because we didn't get the house. We ended up being fourth picked. And so they got the house they wanted and they're excited. But it's definitely a different, the market, how quickly it shifted. But we still got to get creative. Our business is the real estate solution business. And so we're constantly looking for ways to, find those off-market properties, try to put some deals together for everyone to make things, as easy as possible. So I think we'll see a nice steady finish, throughout the year here, meaning I think we'll see values. I mean, appraisals are still, part of the factor, and some appraisers are still a little more generous and some are a little more rigid. We really try to put together kind of an appraisal presentation because a lot of times they're in the house, it feels like, for 10 or 15 minutes. So we really want to lead that conversation. And with our local knowledge here, we really try to make sure they know, everything that we know about the market, not just what's sold through MLS. So I expect a good steady increase. We're still seeing investors buying properties too for rent. Quite a few of those, some institutions doing that. And we got a lot of development and growth, coming to the area, which I think will continue to help our market because we're bringing, more jobs and more business when you look at, some of the things we'll talk about here in a bit, with the developments in the area that are increasing, jobs. And I think our freeway access and all that is just, superior for the East Valley here. So,
yeah, I think one question, Kenny, people have, and I see a lot right now is, we got money in our house. We know that. And, we were in a good position with we need a bigger home, but we need to sell first. And if the market's like that, how do we do that if, contingent offers, it sounds like, aren't an option. So I know we have some solutions for that we're going to talk about, but if you want to jump into that now.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that technology has done is it's really got into the real estate space now, which, a lot of agents have been afraid of that and their value proposition. For us, we've just hit it head on. I mean, technology is a tool, but having the relationship and still helping people navigate the process, negotiate, currently just find property and get them in first position is still critical. We now have more of, for the last 21, almost 22 years I've been doing this, we've really had, one way to sell a house, which was truly, you put a sign in the yard and you market it and work to sell it, which is what we'll refer to as kind of a, traditional program or traditional plan. Now, we have some programs that, man, I wish I would have had for the last 21 years, or we would have had, specifically our buy then sell program, which is probably the best product on the market right now, especially in this market where you kind of take the stress out of buying and selling because you actually get qualified and you focus on buying your new house first. So you don't have to do anything with your old house, getting it ready, show it, anything. And we actually go in non-contingent. And so you actually go, if it takes 3 days, 3 months, or 6 months or whatever for the right house to pop up, you're already qualified in a position to buy non-contingent. And I know there's a lot of details and questions behind that, which we're happy to go into that and explain that to you. But just know that it does exist and it's real. We've had several people do it now, and it's a great product, especially in this market, because again, you now know you have your new home. You're not putting your home on the market. It sells, but then you are in a real rush to try to just find a home to put you back in control of the, the buy and sell process.
Well, it solves a couple of the hurdles that, we see all the time. And that's, how do I come up with the down payment? I need the equity from my house. And then a lot of people even right now still, don't want to show their home right now. And so this creates that opportunity because we would then sell your current home vacant and then eliminate that. Or the house will just happen to be gone all weekend because there's constant showing. So.
Yeah. And with the buy then sell, I mean, you're also now, like you said, selling the house empty, but we also get some, what we call concierge money, which is, really advanced on your equity, up to 25,000 to go in and do some of those things, carpet, paint, whatever it is. So in turn, we actually end up getting more money by a lot of times the people being out of the house and it ready to go. The program's not for everyone and not every single house and everything qualifies, but for the majority, it's really a great tool.
Plus, in this market, you're getting another month of equity, or possibly while you're getting your house ready or finding the other one. So it's a win all the way around for that.
Yep. And we have a sell and stay program where you actually sell your home. You get advanced, anywhere from 70 to 80% of your equity. And then you can actually stay in the home and continue to rent it up until you're ready to move. So for some, we've just had one relocating out of state and it just made life easy. They had their money, they had money for moving expenses, all of that. And they were able to go buy their new house non-contingent. So for some people, they just want the sale done and know that it's, they're ready to go. So that program can be very, very good for people. And there's a couple versions of that. Of course, traditional, get the home ready and go to market, which is been our specialty for years. Our concierge program. So, on a traditional listing or for people who just need, we go to the house and say they need, 5, 8, 10 grand. And they're like, we just don't have the cash right now. We have the equity. We've got a program to advance you that money, basically interest free to get the home ready to go to market to help you get, top dollar. As always, for those who've, known us long enough, we, for the last several years, We've also entertained all the instant offer companies. So I'm sure you've heard of Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow and some of these companies. The problem is every time you give them all your information, now they have all your good information, cell number, email, and if they don't buy the home, they've got other investors that they then give that information to. When we go on your behalf, we go get all those offers on your behalf, and we put everything into a simple side-by-side comparison versus say traditional. And then you get to decide what's best for you and your family, and you don't have to go out and give out all your personal information and they keep calling you and those kind of things. And then we now represent you through the entire process. That's been a great product for us because sometimes those offers are honestly very, very good. And we have to advise people that there's no point even go to market. And then sometimes, quite honestly, we know go to market, and depending on the seller situation, makes the most sense. You know, the way we look at it now, it used to feel like we kind of sat across the table from you and we had a conversation about buying and selling your home. Now we feel like we kind of sit on the same side of the table and we just present all your options, almost like a menu of services, and then which one fits you, you know, because not every seller is the same. Not every buyer is the same, different circumstances. But before there was just, everyone had to fit in the same box. Now we have a bunch of boxes in which is the right one for you, which has been pretty exciting. And the last thing, which has always been kind of that fear, is it legitimate? Is the lease purchase program. We've got 3 different of those programs now. And we've got a few people that we've worked through that process where they actually get to go out and shop like a home buyer. Company comes in, buys the property, and then you basically lease to own it until you're ready to buy, which there's different terms on each one. But these are actually legitimate, you know, companies and programs. So as you can see, I don't want to overwhelm everyone, but the idea is there's a lot of different options. I will tell you, there's very few out there providing all of this in one place. And that's really our goal, to stay ahead of the market, stay ahead of what's going on out there, and really give you guys all the tools to help make, you know, the best decisions. So that's it on the new ways, I would say. Craig, if you want to jump into you know, kind of where we think things are headed and the difference.
Sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, I think one thing that comes up a lot and that we don't talk about is just, you know, when the housing bubble and the crash in 2008, and what are the differences, or what are the similarities? What are we seeing? And so that's one of the things. And I think we talked a little bit about the difference in inventory. I mean, there was, you know, 56,000 homes on the market in 2008. And as we talked about, there's 4,500 now. Demand was a big part of that. And so we were to talk about, this is mortgage rates today. Where's the slide with the mortgage rates?
I think the big difference when you talk about 2008 versus 2021, and the only reason we bring this up because there's been some fear from people, like, is it going to fall out again? Are we going to go backwards? Big difference now is, you know, mortgage qualifying is completely different than it used to be. You know, buyers are actually qualified now, not just stated income or whatever. And so there's down payments. There's, you know, if you've gotten a loan in the last several years, you know that it's not the same process as it used to be. The other thing is, back then, you know, mortgage payment, say, was $2,400 a month, but yet you could rent the same house for $1,200 a month. And so, you know, people would walk away and go rent because it saved them quite a bit of money. Rents have gone up so much now that there isn't really a value. I mean, everybody still needs a roof over their head. So if your mortgage is $2,200, rent, quite honestly, is probably $2,200 or $2,400. And so it's really crazy what's happened with the rental side. But the point is that there's really no incentive now to walk away from your house because you're not going to save any money. You still need a roof over your head. And then we talked about it earlier, but the equity, you know, we're looking at equity for people on average across the country is about $194,000. So when you talk about this time, it's not like people put no money down and the house depreciated. we've actually had substantial appreciation over the last, 10 to 12 years. So people are sitting on more equity and they're not allowed to take as much out of their home. So they're not in as bad a position that we were when we saw, things crash and go backwards.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it, Kenny, the homeowner equity. I think it was October was when the stat came out that it was like 92.3% or 7% of the homeowners have at least 11% equity. 42% are owned free and clear. And so you see that, and it tells you that even if with forbearance, we get into that later and all of that, the amount of equity people have will keep them going and continue to increase and allow them, give them options. The way the appreciation is set to continue, most of the experts are predicting through the next 12 months through 2021, just based on supply and demand and mortgage rates where they're at. You could stop new listings as of today. And if you added, say, 500 a week, it would take 8 to 10 months to get back to even what we would consider a balanced market. That's kind of what is going to continue to drive appreciation. Then you see the historic as far as home prices and what the appreciation is predicted. NAR is up at 6% and Fannie and Freddie are both there. Most are predicting it's going to continue on that through the next 5 years, and we'll see that based on some of the things. And when we get into forbearance, we'll talk about why the foreclosures that will happen, how that won't affect it as much as it did previously.
Well, and those appreciations are based, in this case, on a national level.
Correct.
The Arizona market is always the top 5 market, and we could see at least 6% or more in certain price ranges in certain parts of the valley, and other parts won't be quite as much. We're not looking for
42,000 or 40,000 in 2009 last year, because in January of 2020, it was about average sales price was 300 and it was 342 in January of 21. So
we're seeing that that appreciation. The difference is homes are having to get appraised now. Again, people are putting money down, and so we're seeing and I hope that kind of levels out a little bit. I mean, I'm a homeowner too. Believe me, I love values to go up, but at the same time, if you're trying to buy, you're in the same boat. We just want a nice steady run. We don't want anybody getting hurt, meaning buyer or seller. Just a good, nice steady increase in values, and I think we're going to continue to I feel very confident 2021 and into 2022, we're going to see those things. Obviously there's a lot going on in the world and the political climate, everything else. And yet, Americans are resilient. They keep pushing through, and at the end of the day, they need a home. And I think the big difference we see now too is, 2008, it felt like the home was just an investment. Am I making money on it? Am I making money on it? Since the pandemic, honestly, the conversations around home have changed so much. Home is now the safe place. It's where where you can go and have peace of mind to a degree. And it's also turned into, for a lot of people, the classroom. It's turned into the gym, the Zoom room, right? The home office, where people are remodeling, or we're seeing big homes selling very well again because people need that extra room. In some cases, both spouses work from home. They both need an office at home. So those are the questions we're getting, is some of it, should we add on to our house? Should we find a bigger house? We need this space. We need a bigger backyard because we're spending more time there. And then a lot of remodeling questions, of course, that we get too. One of the other big differences, I think, heading into 2021 is, this East Valley specifically, kind of this Ellsworth, Elliott corridor. I mean, Eastmark, when you talk about Gateway, all those things, there's so much growth happening out here in the East Valley. I mean, from, as you can see, water parks to sports complexes to, a lot of tech stuff going on. We're going to have some new home developments, Legacy Sports, Gateway. Phoenix Mesa Gateway is building permanent terminals now that will be closer to, to Ellsworth Avenue. And so I
The
think
Legacy Sports Complex is going to draw a lot of people from out of state to the area, just from all the club and sports tournaments they will host there constantly. And as somebody who's coached and son played club basketball for years and traveled all over, that's going to bring a lot of people out here that will get to see the area too. So that's a big one too.
Yeah, I mean, and we're actually getting hate to say, because I've actually never been to one, but my kids have. But we're getting Dutch Brothers, and we got I mean, you name it. I mean, there's so much coming out here that we're even getting a disc golf course kind of at the north end of Eastmark there. So just a lot of cool stuff going on. I think this freeway access is making things so much more connected out here. And I think if you come along the 202 from Power heading east, I mean, the amount of buildings going up around Gateway just blows me away every time. And then on the north side of the 202, all that land is now sold, all those dairies, and that's going to be, Haas Crossing, another big, subdivision with, more, houses and retail. And so there's a real high demand for the Southeast Valley here, not only from business growth, jobs we're bringing out this way. Then of course they need affordable housing, which we have, quite a bit of that out here in the East Valley. So I think we're going to see those things, that path of growth continue. Queen Creek, Santan Valley, same thing, continues to grow. But I know, a lot of people, again, depending if you're working from home, not as big a deal. But if you're, the freeway access and the proximity to town, I think we're positioned really, really well for the future. Whether you own, whether you're looking to buy an investment property, I think we're going to be in a real good, long-term upswing here and a lot of stability. One of the other tools too that we offer is called Homebot. We kind of call this your wealth management tool. And you can go to just klausteam.com/Homebot. It's free. You get a monthly kind of an update. You can actually earn control. A lot of these home value sites just send you kind of an automated home value. This starts off with something like that, but then you can go in and make the adjustments, the upgrades. Actually shows you what your home may rent for. If you wanted to refi, you can update what your equity position is, like what you actually owe on your mortgage. It's really kind of a cool tool that you can access really anytime, but you'll get it, sent automatically to you. So it's one of the tools we've had for a while, and it's probably the fan favorite of our clients. But it's free to anyone that just wants to get, kind of that update and kind of make it more personal, because you have control of this data that you put in there. It actually even shows you what, if you were to Airbnb it, what that would look like and stuff. So kind of a neat little wealth management tool for your property. And then we'll talk a little bit, about if you are, thinking about selling your home, what are the things that you should do to your home that'll have the highest return. I know, Craig, we walked one tonight, and it's a little different now what we're coaching people on than what it was, a couple of years back. And, that continues to shift. But, we want to get people kind of, here's what we see, here's what we've had success with, here's the affordable stuff. And then, by the way, we can help with all those things. So we can roll out the red carpet for you and help coordinate all those things. But, kind of what I'll say, the top 5 kind of affordable things, if you will, that people are doing in this market to get the best return. Because even though the market's great, if you button it up and it shows well, it's just going to drive the value even more. So.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest adjustments, I think, for me going into most of the houses and doing most of the listings is, it's like you said, for years we've gone in and, here's things we can do because we want to maximize value. Buyers pay for presentation. They will pay twice as much as it costs you to put it in to have it done already because of the mortgage rates and financing it over 30 years at 3%. But it's been interesting to see what buyers will overlook in this market. So we're very cautious of, we don't go in and try to get you just to spend money just to spend it. I mean, if we don't have to do it in this market, but at the same time, it still does make a difference, and buyers will still pay more if the house is done. And we just advise on that and look at different options. And for us, it's kind of, if it costs $5,000 to do the work, then we're expecting it to make at least 10 on the return, and that that's kind of how we'll look at it.
Yeah, so kind of the top 5 things that I think are kind of maintenance things or things that we see is just kind of painting the footer around the bottom of the house. That's typically where we'll see rust from the weep hole. So, or we'll see just paint peeling, because that's where the most moisture gets. And instead of sometimes having to paint the whole house, just touching up that footer can make a big difference. It's pretty quick and easy. Light fixtures and bathroom fixtures sometimes can be some of the most affordable things that have a great return on them as far as presentation, because people walk in and it's kind of that wow effect. Like this looks nice, it looks modern. One of the things I've been doing, we've been doing for years, especially in these communities, the ones that were built, 2000 to 2005 or 6-ish. So like Augusta, Mesquite, the Villages, Sierra Ranch, Kersman Creek, those communities, is door hardware. For whatever reason, someone had a great idea that brass was a great idea for many, many, many years. And a lot of homes out here still have them. People don't realize how affordable it is to just make those updates. And, we can help order all that stuff. We can get it installed. But a lot of houses we can do for, $1,000 to $1,500 installed, front door hardware, the whole deal. So it's not nearly as bad. And then you get into like your kitchen updates, if you're going to do something, kitchen updates. We were famous in this area. A lot of these homes, as the age I mentioned, for, a lot of oak and, light oak, dark oak, even white oak in some cases. And, like Superstition Springs, we still see a lot of that over there. So, sometimes just the kitchen updates, and then appliances. We've got a great contact for appliances to put a quick stainless package in for, $1,200 to $1,500. Cabinets, we've got a couple vendors that can sand those down, get them painted. White is very popular right now with some cabinet hardware. And honestly, when you look at the cost for the return, especially when you talk about a kitchen, kind of a no-brainer. And then flooring, kind of like real estate today, we got more options in flooring than we ever had before, from of course ceramic tile and porcelain to luxury vinyl, which, holy cows, that stuff really coming a long way. You don't have any grout lines, manufactured wood that is, you don't have, kind of the care of normal wood. So a lot of options, and we really look at each situation and try to advise, what would be best. And some of the quick, affordable things would be window cleaning. We've got a great window cleaner, and they clean the tracks, and sometimes just that simple stuff. Tile, grout, and carpet cleaning. We're gonna have a little special next month from our tile people, our tile and carpet guy, to come out and do that for people. $30 a room, really affordable. But as far as carpet cleaning, and then they do tile and grout, landscape freshen up. Sometimes just a quick once over, not always by the homeowner, but a lot of times by someone who does it for a living, really can make a difference. As we always hear on these HDTV, reducing clutter, but it really does make a difference, from closets to just in general living spaces, to kind of reduce that, and making sure all of your lights work and light bulbs work. You'd be surprised at how many people just get used to these dim lights in a room versus, updating them or cleaning them and getting it bright. So some simple things and some tricks that, I don't know, tricks is the right word, but just suggestions after, years of doing this. We're in our 12th year in a row now of selling a home every single day. And we don't say that to pat our back, but just to let you know how, we're in the game. We see a lot of properties. We help a lot of people navigate all their different options, and really just try to suggest the ones that we think will have the best return, not guessing, but from, factual, from what we've seen in the past. So, and then if you want to jump in, Craig, let's get to that that ugly F word that's floating around out there, the old forbearance.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about kind of the concerns versus reality, what they expected versus what we're seeing. One thing I did want to mention when we talk even about kind of debt and where people are at, an interesting stat that today it's 3.72% of household debt is mortgage ratios, and in 2007 that was 7.21%. And where it's at today is lower than it's been since it hasn't been this low in the last 30 years. So that's a big part of it too. People aren't house poor to that extent. And I think that's part of it. So on the forbearance, you know, I was trying to find, Scott, did I give you the?
Craig, I'll jump there real quick. When we look at that, the household debt ratio, that seems so counterintuitive to home prices going up, and yet people have had more money to put down on their new house. You have to qualify, things like that. So it's interesting because you would almost think it's the other way around.
Well, statistically, 2020 was the most affordable time to buy a home in Arizona. It's been since 2016, which when I tell people that at listing appointments are talking, they like, what? But with the combination of this we see right here, the three, the mortgage being a smaller percentage, equity in their home, and interest rates and savings. Average American savings went up 8.2% since March. Obviously forced in some areas, but people, it's just different. So going through the number of mortgages and active forbearance, big thing we want to see is that it's decreasing. It was 4.76 million in May. In November, it was 2.79 million. And then what are these people doing? And upon exit from forbearance plan, 54.6 are paid in full. You can see a 30.7 worked it out. So basically 15% or so of that are still in their, working it out, or still in trouble with their forbearance. They can extend it. There are different ways on that. And so I think that's a big difference. And then, just talking about what options there are, but going back to people wondering what happens. Well, what happens if they walk away and it does foreclose, and there's a bunch of foreclosures that hit? And, we're not seeing that right now. I mean, if you look at the number of foreclosures, again, this is going back to the second quarter of last year, but I mean, not even what 12% or so of what it was in the second quarter of 2009. I mean, and the other difference is, back then when foreclosures came on, they added to the 58,000 of active inventory we already had. And then banks didn't do anything to them. They put them on in the condition. So they were well below market value, brought values down. Today, if a foreclosure did come on the market, it would be bought up. And even if it came on below market value, the market would drive it up to market value. So those are a couple big differences right there. People have equity. A lot of people got into forbearance and never even did anything about it, needed it. They kept making their payments. So that was another thing. People filed for it as a precaution. And so that's a big part of that as well. So there will be some foreclosures. I mean, that's unavoidable. It will happen. Some people, either have less than 10% equity or just don't do anything about it and don't know their options, and it ends up foreclosing. But those will easily be absorbed by the market and shouldn't have any impact on market values.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how many actually go to foreclosure, because even though they're in foreclosure, which last time I pulled up 85209 and 85212, I mean, I want to say there was, maybe 8 or 9 between the two zip codes that were in pre-foreclosure, are still sitting on equity. So even if it's in foreclosure, that doesn't mean you don't have equity. That just means you haven't been potentially making a payment. So say you lost a job or something happened, but if it comes down to it, you could put the house on the market and sell it and still walk away with money. Or even if it did go all the way to foreclosure, which would be a terrible idea in this market, but if it did, you're actually going to get money back because they're going to sell the house for top dollar. It's not going to be these, abandoned houses, lowball offers to the bank. It is going to be like a bidding war with the banks to actually still just get the property. So again, forbearance is real. We know, people have chosen that path, but as you can see statistically, the majority are handling it and, refinancing out of it or whatever options you have. Now, we're not the mortgage guys. We have one in our office. I've known him for 30 years. I mean, we can always help, consult and counsel, through those options, which I would definitely recommend before going it alone, is get a professional to help guide you through, what all your terms actually are and what your options are. But a lot of people just don't realize the value of their home today, even if it's not in great condition. And even if a home's not in great condition, call us anyway. We can make you a cash offer as is. So there's so many options out there. It's just, the internet today is crazy, right? It's like, who do you trust and what's real? We want to let you guys know we're here. We're right on the corner of Ellsworth and Guadalupe, right behind the Sonic. We want to be your trusted advisors, whether you end up using us sometimes or not. We'd love to earn the opportunity to just be a resource. If you need a referral for something around the house, you need a referral for a refinance, you are moving out of state, need a great agent there. You want to talk about investment property and what that would look like. We just did a class last month on that, which is phenomenal. And how to build wealth through real estate. Our why is really to help people achieve the American dream and build wealth through home ownership and support the communities that we serve. And that's our mission, and we're going to keep driving it even with all the changes and chaos going on. We have clarity of where we see things, and being so heavily involved in the markets here, valley wide, but our focus a lot being in the Southeast Valley here. We just want to be
a lot. We've seen a lot of different markets in the last 20 years. And we've always been able to adapt. And I think, we really we got into the short sale thing and became experts and learned that. And it's one thing that I think, even I had an appointment today and, talking with them, and they're looking to do a buy and sell. And just there's a lot of programs. We have a lot of information. And I kind of tell them, I don't want to overwhelm you with it, but just know it's nice to be able to sit here and go, whatever decision or route you want to go, we've got a solution for you to help solve it and make it a lot less stressful. And it can be done, and we've got solutions for you. And it does still matter. It matters right now. Representation matters probably more now than ever. As a listing agent who gets a lot of multiple offers and things, I can tell you that representation for buyers and who they're represented by matters too.
Well, real quick, too, we'll wrap up. We won't keep you guys all night, but if you have any questions, you're welcome to drop them in the Q&A, or you can always reach out to, myself or Craig, just Craig with a K or Kenny with a K, just KRAIG, and then at Klaus Team or Kenny at Klaus Team. Love to just be a resource to answer questions. But just a quick, quick recap. We expect, 2021 to be a steady market. We expect appreciation. We expect rents to continue to climb based on supply and demand. We expect values to. We still see, we lead the nation in growth, meaning Arizona. So we still have more people moving here than moving away. A lot of people moving here, come from, houses that, 800,000-900,000 for 1,700 square foot. So they see something out here, and it's a game changer for them. So a lot of companies moving here, which is great because it's affordable. Housing is, really one of the main reasons they move here. So we expect, to see things continue. We're in a great growth corridor here, out in the East Valley, 209 and 212. I'm glad we picked this area to set up shop, 20 years ago, and here we grow. So, we want to be here for you guys. If you have any questions, need any home service referrals or any professional services, don't be a stranger. We're your neighbor too, and look forward to continuing to grow together. And we'll work on continuing these updates so we can keep everybody informed.
And don't be afraid to reach out for consultations too. I mean, we're not, we don't come to your house for a listing appointment necessarily always with the idea we got a list, and we come and talk and kind of guide and just be kind of guides and that help you through that program. through what you want to do. If you have questions on forbearance, on, if you're in that position, or you're curious, or you know somebody that does, because there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of doom and gloom out there, reach out to us. I mean, we've got kind of the questions to ask your servicer about forbearance, about extensions. We can help guide that, and just really kind of present solutions to you, so you at least have that. So, but thank you guys for watching and joining, and
we had one quick we had a question come up. Is it still a good time to buy an investment property? I can just tell you personally, I can speak for me and Craig. We both bought properties, investment in the last, several months or last year. Several agents on our team have. I've got several clients that have, and they rent immediately. And so we know there's a shortage in good quality rentals too. And so, think about it. It almost seems.
Kenny, what would you say a 1,700 square foot, 3-bedroom home without a pool in the area would rent for right now?
Oh, I mean, I can tell you, I just rented a 1,900 single level for 1,900 without even putting it on the market. That same house, I've had for 11 years, started at like 1,250 and stayed that way for probably 6 years. And then I went to 1,450, then last year, 1,650, and now to 1,900 this year.
The 3-bedroom apartments in Augusta Ranch, I believe, are $1,695 a month.
Yeah. So, I mean, people just haven't been in the game. But here's the thing: is it almost sounds illegal, right? Like, hey guys, we're gonna help you find a property. 300,000. You need 60,000 down, let's say at 20%. But there's also this thing called your self-directed IRA and some other options, and then we're gonna let someone else pay off your mortgage. Like, it almost sounds illegal, but that's how wealth is built. And, most people, while you're sleeping tonight, your money's working for you versus just working to pay off one house. So I do think that the rental market, even when the market, I've got several, even when the market tanked in, 08, 09, I still own all those properties today. And the great news was, yeah, the value went down, but I didn't lose all my money. Unlike the stock market, where if it goes down, you lose it, it's gone. We just held through it, still got rent, still covered mortgages. And now you look up, the houses are almost paid off and rents have went up. So, long-term, I think it's still a great investment. I think a house is still a great, I hate to use the word investment, but ultimately that's typically what people's biggest retirement is their house. But the difference now is the house is a home. I mean, it is your safe place. It is so many things that people now appreciate home differently. And that's why I think we see such the demand for it. Plus, if you're renting, but you work from home and all of a sudden the landlord decides to sell, you can't be without internet for a day, let alone a week or two or whatever. So this is where that stability in home ownership is really a value. And with rates, right around 3% or less, I mean, it's almost free money. So the opportunity is there. It's just a matter of, taking that step. So
it's why the 1 million plus price point, the percentage of sales increased 102% last year.
Yeah.
Combination of mortgage rates and equity in their house and that. So,
well, if anybody has any questions, here's your last shot. If you don't want to do it here, you're welcome to reach out to us. And as always, we just appreciate the opportunity to serve our communities, to be able to give back through Klaus Team Cares, our charity, which we've been doing. It's a 501c3. So every home sale we do, we donate part to our charity, which is able to do a lot of great things in the neighborhood. You can actually go klausteamcares.org and see a lot of the things we did last year with the monies that our team gave back to the community. So it's really an exciting opportunity we have to serve these communities, and we look forward to another 20 years of it. So keep us in mind if you have questions, referrals, anyone looking to buy, sell, or quite honestly just has a real estate question. We love that part, just to be able to help educate people first so they feel very confident with their decision. I think the internet has just confused people more than it's helped people in some cases. And so we appreciate you. We appreciate the opportunity, and stay safe.